whenever you're ready.
This one. Yes. There we go. So everyone can see that? Okay, great. So, hi, thank you so much for joining, and thank you to everyone here for helping me along with this. It's been a really great time doing this project for UX-Tree. So to reintroduce the project, it is about UX-Tree and refining its program offerings. This project is about ensuring applicants to UX-Tree know what to expect and are well suited for the program. Because of the small capacity of the courses it offers, it's important to reduce the number of mistaken or misaligned applications. Everyone here is also invested in UX-Tree's success, so it's also a chance to get some real feedback about how it's been developing, as well as what shape it might take in the future. I know I've been particularly interested in talking to as many designers as possible and their views on careers and professional growth, as it's something I personally had to grapple with for the last few years. So the process I followed, it's something we're all familiar with. It's a double diamond. It's just how I like to visualize it, but the concept is the same. So research. When researching, the goal was to identify exactly what the website visitors look for and appeal directly to it, and then what weaknesses currently exist and how we can prevent them. My approach was to talk to as many people, both student and mentors, involved in the process and try to understand their priorities when teaching, learning, and upskilling in their design careers, as well as how best to treat it as a business, not just a community or a side gig. I also used surveys to get more quantitative feedback about the current UX-Tree website and how people feel about it. The first question I suppose to ask is whether or not there's any need to improve the experience. Are we asking the right question to begin with? And the answer from the research was a pretty resounding yes. There was a lot of evidence that pointed to potential avenues to improve user expectations, we'll say. So what did people talk about when asked? These are a few of the most prominent findings and quotes from the research. What users wanted were clear communication, relevant content, building trust with stories of success, and appealing to their goals rather than just the businesses. I should note, I also wanted to focus on the positives as well as the negatives. Things like testimonials and company logos got really strong responses, so there's an opportunity there to give them more prominence. Based on these key findings, I found the core crossover of what appealed to junior designers and what senior designers stressed as important about gaining that foothold in UX, broadly centered around the ideas of community, mentorship, and the case studies that you have in your portfolio. And as such, the original brief of how can we ensure high quality applications becomes a problem statement of the website needs to communicate and deliver these three values to inspire the right users to sign up, to maintain and grow its reputation as a producer of top tier UX talent, which is a bit wordy, but you know. So with these in mind, I broke these values down to ideas that I could use to design a new homepage experience. I wanted to prioritize the mentorship course after listening to feedback on how people thought the wider organization should progress. I wanted to put things like social proofs and testimonials and custom logos higher on the page because they got really strong responses when testing. And I wanted to bring in potential mentors as a kind of secondary persona, as they were talked about quite a lot when researching. And they are the means by which students actually achieve that final project. So any business growth needs to take into account the act of maintaining their acquisition and their quality. So this is the new stuff. Now, when all this is said and done, Rob gave me some really good advice. Step away from the computer and just unlock yourself from the screen. If you could take all of those findings you've internalized and make a whole new experience, what would it look like? What would you do? So like any designer, I immediately jumped straight into Figma and was then advised to just hold my horses and just back up a bit and just breathe a little bit and think about why we test on low fidelity prototypes first. And I realized I'd just jumped straight back to get back into my comfort zone. So yes, this was really good advice. It helped bring me back to the earlier point. The project is about refining communication and clarity. I want to simplify the user journey without getting sidetracked by branding, the imagery, graphics, colors. So these are the prototypes that I asked users to test. I recruited one of the previous testing participants as well as 2 fresh UX professionals. Okay, UX professionals, and gave them a much more straightforward set of questions. What are their first impressions? What do they assume it entails? Will this help develop your career, etc.? Resisting temptation to make every suggested change. I just wanted to gather the data properly. So broadly, it's clear there was still space to condense and rework the design and add some extra aspects that were found in other design courses. So if I could quickly share this Figma prototype. There it is. Present something else. Okay. So we don't have a lot of time, so I'm just going to quickly explain the wider themes of it. So I did try to adhere to the existing branding of the current UX3 prototype with things like colors, fonts, broader concepts, but the main change, I suppose, was to invert it to white mode rather than dark mode, as I feel white text on a dark background is just a lot more tiring to read, and I believe the research backs that up. So there were also, so you can see we've got logos, social proofs up top. We've got very prominent summary of the course. And then I also found an opportunity to combine certain sections, like case studies and testimonials are intrinsically linked by the person that is involved with both of them. So that's an opportunity to kind of make the whole experience a lot more efficient. So there is some small shout outs to talking about the mentors involved with the process, having some prominent numbers, as well as a final CTA at the bottom. And then when we get to the second page, this prototype was only a rough draft of 2 of the pages. So this would be the landing page for the mentorship course. Just wanted to give a slightly more detailed overview of the course, as well as linking to past projects, getting that community aspect and those case studies more prominence. Things like frequently asked questions were requested when testing. It is something I had initially left out. And then being able to link to other resources in other areas of the website before another CTA. Some more aspects I tried to really work on was condensing the headlines and the calls to action. So it's trying to make it really efficient with strong calls to action, like become a student. There are softer ones like ask a question or how do I become a mentor? Otherwise, I suppose I will stop sharing and get back to the rest of the presentation. Okay. So just to bring it back to the original brief, the original ask was for maintaining quality applications and clarifying the product offering while reducing drop-off. My redesign aims to clearly distinguish the primary mentorship course and using social connections and stories that have been built up over the past several years of successful candidates to highlight those benefits. That's it in a nutshell. So I'll leave you with a quick before and after comparison while I discuss the last few aspects of it. What were my takeaways? Perfect. Approaching the research properly with a preset, well-considered template just will pay dividends throughout the project. Keep it simple. It's so easy to overcomplicate things, and the reason a lot of enterprise websites follow a very open design pattern is because they are appealing to people who care about the product, not the aesthetics. They need to be clear and communicative. And lastly, phrasing of headlines and buttons should really be the first consideration for testing, because that is what people actually read. Everything else is secondary, and also it's really, really difficult, is what I found out. So what I learned, a lot of it was front-loaded into the research, the start of the process. Having the time to plan and properly construct a proper project is not something that I've had the luxury of very often. So yeah, taking the time to walk and not run through each stage does teach a valuable lesson about the benefits of not just jumping to conclusions. Lastly, I think I could have benefited a lot more from some more data-focused research in general, and talking to people who didn't have as deep an connection to the UX industry. Just gathering a lot more casual layman feedback would have some good contrast to the other research. And finally, what I'd like to do before completing the case study, ideally a more fleshed out prototype, another round of feedback, and a proper mobile responsive Figma file that would be ready for development. And that is it. Thank you very much. Feedback is always appreciated. How was I for time? I actually forgot to start the timer.
That was great.
That was the one thing.
That was amazing. Thank you so much, Craig. Like, it was so nice so difficult for me to detach from everything and watch it from the other side. I'm not going to let the guy speak first, but I thought it was great. It was amazing. Well done.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Anyone has any questions or any feedback for Craig? Ricardo?
Yeah, I have to echo what Valentina said. I think that, first of all, I really enjoyed how you organized your presentation, and the way you stepped through it was so very, very clear. And you wasted no time in any unconsidered items, but really just everything was very precise. You really summed up exactly what you needed to say, and there was enough to read on the slide to back up what you were saying. So I really appreciated that you just didn't read what you had on the slide, but you actually explained what you were saying, and we were able to reflect on that as well. I think you came out with some really interesting findings, and I think that it's, in my mind, really worth pursuing to the next level. So I'm very excited to see where you would go with this, should you consider to be able to do it. I think it's a great idea. Again, like I said, I think it's in the presentations I've seen, it's one of the best that I've seen as far as how it was summed up. Very well done.
Thank you very much. I think there's still a lot of work. I think if there was anything else I'd learned from it, it's how to put together a good presentation, because I've spent the week looking at last round's presentations as well. Like, I have Ronan McIntyre's there open in another tab. Some people just have it. Goddamn. But a good presentation is a valuable skill to have.
Well, I think your presentation skills and your storytelling skills are amazing, Craig. Like, you know, I at any stage of this, like, you know, presentation, I felt that you're actually, like, you know, going through the map process, but I just felt it like a really nice story told. Like, you know, you had your whys and whats and everything sorted out, and like also to echo what Ricardo said, like, you know, a few good ideas there that I really like these are, like, you know, when I see it now, I kind of think, like, you know, oh my God, this is a no-brainer, like, you know, combining testimonials and case studies, like, you know, but that actually never crossed my mind. I don't know why. So, like, yeah, I loved it. And the product page looks amazing. And apologies one more time for changing the design in the middle of your project. We had an external workshop, so we had to tidy up the web page a little bit, yeah, like, all in all, great project. Also, like, I wanted to just say one more time that I really enjoyed all the interviews with yourself. I thought you had a really particular, specific approach that I didn't kind of run into when speaking with other UX designers. I think you should really kind of go with the flow, and just because I kind of feel that you're that kind of person that just kind of goes with the feelings rather than having something that, you know, a process that they need to kind of follow. So I really think that's a really good quality that you should just, you know, listen to. Anyways, yeah, that's all from my side. Thank you so much. That was a great project.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, Dave. you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I just want to say well done, Craig. I think you've done a great job. One of the biggest challenges I have as a mentor is kind of in the earlier stages of the process, and you have these calls, and a lot of the mentees will put up a fig jam or a Miro board, and they'll fly through just a chaos of information, right? And it's all great work, but like, because it's only a couple of minutes, your eyes are trying to absorb it all, and you're probably not listening to them as much as you can because what's on screen is so absorbing, you know. And then it's gone, and you're like, what the hell is happening there? I don't really understand what's happening. It's very hard to really get a clear picture of what's happening. So I love this stage of UX3 where you get to see the final piece of work, and the story is kind of told in a way that's more comprehensible, you know. So I think you've done a great job in presenting it, and I love the way you kind of pivoted a little bit within the process as well. See what the things we had a call a couple of weeks ago as well, and I really felt either you listened to me or you listened to somebody who said the same thing, but you did take on board the feedback, you know. I like the way you kind of simplified the designs. They were quite busy, I think, your earlier ones, and they've really kind of improved.
There's a reason
then, you know?
There's a reason I skipped over that slide very quickly. It's benefit mindset.
Yeah. I love the way you have your learnings in there. Like it's great the way you're kind of you're presenting everything warts and all, which is really honest, and that'll come through, I think, you know. So you could kind of put your hand up and said that you wish you'd done more low fidelity prototypes, and that's obviously a valid point. But well done for putting your hand up there. But yeah, it's overall is really good. Well done.
Thank you very much.
Peter. Yeah, Peter, going on next. Sorry.
Did somebody else want to go?
No, I didn't see anyone's hand.
Yeah. Craig, yeah, it was really good, a really solid approach to the project, and I agree with everything that's been said. But just one thing, when Dave mentioned your learnings, I think that one where you said don't rush to jump ahead, or don't try and go too fast, you clearly applied that during the process as well. So it's not just something you've learned now and then you're going to apply in the future, because this presentation was really methodical and slow, and you didn't rush us through it. So fair play.
Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Very good.
Very late finishing.
How does it feel?
I'm so glad I was first. Oh my god.
Rob, do you want
to?
Yeah, just I won't give feedback because I'm too biased. But yeah, look, I've been working with UX3 for about 3 years, so it was cool to get assigned onto this project. But I care about the UX3 a lot, and as I think Ricardo used the word considered, and I think that you have been very considered throughout it. I've watched you kind of be very diligent and go the extra mile with research and interviews and all that sort of stuff. So there's never been, I don't think you've done a design change that you haven't kind of explained why you're doing it. And that's just it's been really enjoyable to work in that way on something that I care about. I think what you've ended up with is, you know, a really research driven, like better structure and kind of much more targeted content based on what our users are saying. So yeah, but you haven't strayed too far from what's already there either. You've been very disciplined in kind of changing in a very targeted way. But yeah, it's been great working with you on the project. You've worked very hard through a lot of other very busy time periods for yourself as well. You've not really let this drop. So yeah, really appreciate the work on it, and I'm sure we'll benefit from it in UX3 as well.
Thank you very much. No, I've enjoyed the whole project immensely, and it has come to a head in a fairly busy period, but I'm happy with how it's come together. So, and I really enjoyed talking to everyone. Like, I got a chance to reconnect with people I haven't talked to for years. So if anything else, there's all benefits down the line. So thank you very much.
Very good. Well done, guys. Great project. And yeah, as Rob said, like, I'm sure that we're going to reuse a lot of the things that you have in your prototype as well. So thank you so much, Craig. You can go on. You can eat your apple now. Sorry.
I'm sorry,
Aidan,
I'm so tired.
I can imagine. Don't worry. Thank you so much. Aidan, are you ready?
Yes, yeah, as I'm ever going to be. Okay, I will share my screen.
Amazing.
And just give me just a second. Share screen. Share. So let me know when you can see.
Yeah.
Great. So this project was looking at Amazon Prime Video. The initial thought coming into it was to try and smooth out and eliminate some of the frustration users have expressed, and I have expressed, trying to use Amazon Prime Video, searching, browsing, managing my own content. The process followed, the design process went through heuristic review and competitor analysis were kind of the key things for me, as well as usability testing then. At the result of those, I landed on 3 key points that I tried to focus on throughout the rest of the project, which are content curation, what is on the platform, sorting, how it is presented to us, and then navigation behaviors, how I get around there. Now, in previous presentations, you've seen I touched on a lot of other features of the project as well, but moving into this design process, it was kind of necessary to like really focus in on what seemed achievable and what was sort of kind of 1 or 2 key things for the project. The problem statement we arrived at was looking at redesigning the categorization to reflect more familiar genres. The users were encountering an oversaturation of content that was separated into categories that were just confusing, or trying to be fun, but just making life harder for the user. So in the design process then, I started by breaking out the various flows I wanted to examine through their whole platform, just searching for something or buying or renting or just browsing. So the 2 kind of scenarios that I encountered in both for all of these situations was, you know what you're looking for, or you're just browsing and trying to find something. So I'm going to buy and rent knowing I'm looking for something, or I'm going trying to find something specific. I land on the home page knowing what I'm looking for, or trying to find something specific. After that, I moved into paper prototyping. I found a halfway between getting attached to a computer and my notebook by turning to my iPad. It's a halfway step. I started by doing some sketches of the existing platform, just to really break it down into a scaffolding rather than be looking at the imagery, and then started sketching off from there to make my changes or decide where I wanted to go with it from there. So just as a reminder of the existing platform, Amazon Prime Video, key points of interest for us were the sidebar and the top tabbed menu causing confusion. The idea then that there's paid content prioritized with these little yellow suitcases or shopping bags, and then that you're kind of seeing 4 titles at any given time and maybe a third of a title. Now I know that's Shrek before I even click right, so I have an interaction, I click right, and I get to confirm that that's Shrek. So I need to click twice to see new information. So trying to present information cleaner and easier. So this is the first screen that I laid out. Again, prioritizing, I chose to prioritize or try and empathize with Amazon's own business requirements of presenting the users with their original content, their rent and buy content, the stuff they want to promote. My project is going to strip that out from other places in the platform, so I thought it important to remain sort of empathetic to that and present the promoted content that they need to do to sort of upsell and continue to make money, or more money. But one of the key things here was around navigation. The visibility of status was unclear, so my version starts on the banner rather than up on the top menu. In terms of layout, again, I'm prioritizing Amazon content before moving into the user's specific content. Continue watching my watch list. One of the things that I've done here, though, is in narrowing the thumbnails, I'm able to show a user on a line, 6, if not 7 thumbnails at any given time. So they're able to see more information more quickly. I did opt for the 2-3 ratio. I kind of like it, and one of my users referred to it as being like being in a video store. So there's a sort of real world analog there that I kind of liked. I consolidated the sidebar, moving a buy and rent section into the sidebar so that users can search specifically for buy and rent at that point. So one user was confused by the main menu being at the top versus the side, and why these two things were separated. A key thing that kept coming up was it feeling uncurated. It presents too many options. It feels jumbled. So that's why I separated it out into classic genres. The genres are there on Amazon Prime Video at the moment, but they're buried in a sub menu. So I just took their genres, laid them out in a way that was familiar to users. One thing I did though was I added world cinema to try and address the jumbled and too much information and the curation aspect. There's a lot of content on there, but it doesn't feel localized if I'm in Ireland and I'm looking at Spanish, German, and Italian content mixed in with everything else. So I tried to create a subsection specifically for that content to kind of make it more specific to where the user's region is. I added the genre screen more prominently. As I said, it was buried in a sub-menu in the existing Amazon Prime Video, and I've made it part of the key sidebar here. Buy and rent has its own section, so there is a featured area that a user can come to, but they're not running into these moments of disappointment where they're browsing the existing catalog and they find something they think they want to rent or want to watch and get told suddenly it's a buy and rent feature. So I took the prototype that I built at that point and did some testing with users, and I came back with 3 common points of feedback around the thumbnail, the listing of the genres, and the how the rails were separated into the genres. Firstly, browsing, they would have liked an info card on hover to just let them know what it is before they click in, get more information. In the genre section, a user identified this underline as looking like it was the heading of a passage of text, and that caused confusion. He didn't really register that action adventure was a category. So I've brought it in line with the sidebar here for the visibility of status. And thirdly, I took the idea that it goes from comedy to documentary, and created comedy and comedy television, because two users identified the idea that they weren't certain what was television and what was film if they just looked at comedy. So I think what's important there is all 3 of those problems or issues that were identified are all kind of their own UX projects if you really dig into them, and there's a number of ways to address them. But just for the sake of iteration and moving forward with this project, I've kind of I don't know, put a hot fix in, I guess is the way to put it, but I think there is more study to be done there on how to address it. So looking at the prototype briefly, this is my page, and as I scroll down, we'll see in the rent or buy section, I can hover and see more information. As I scroll down past my watch list, and because you watched, I come down to categories that we recognize: action adventure television, children's television. If I just want film, I can click on the film option, and I've just got action adventure, children's, comedy, documentary. If I want to search a specific genre, I can go to genre, choose to look at children's specifically, and scroll down through. Or I can search and say, I want to look for a title I recognize. It's a paid title. I can look at more purchase options, decide to rent. That's the end of the flow there. Coming back then to my presentation, I'm aware I'm kind of flying, so please bear with me. Conclusion then. My main learnings across this project then was that I did confirm that users expressed confusion and frustration with the existing Amazon Prime. People were generally more comfortable with, again, if it feels like having more titles on screen is more information, but when you're dealing with 30 rails as opposed to 80, it's less. You're less lost on the platform. They responded well to the limited number of rails, limited left and right, and consistent shape and size, because the existing platform swaps and changes between the various thumbnail shapes and sizes depending on what they're trying to promote to you. Doing something differently, I'd love to know more about how the outlier categories are defined. I'm not sure what metadata is being pulled at any point, whether it's actors, directors, genres, that ends up with us getting suggested you should watch this. I wish I were able to prototype directly onto a television. There are some options available for that, but I wasn't able to get that working at time. And a sort of broader tool of test subjects would have been nice. I tried to keep the first round and second round of testing distinctly separate people as much as possible, but again, a broader range of test subjects would have been nice. And then for my next steps, again, I'd like to polish this prototype a little further. And I do think that there's thinking to be done around some of the issues I identified there. World cinema as a solution I think it's a good idea, but I also think that within world cinema as well, there's the whole range of every genre that you might have in there to separate out TV and film as well. So that's a bigger question altogether. And Amazon Prime also supports live and sports. So these are bigger solutions outside the realm of the TV and film area where I was looking. And that's the extent of my presentation.
Sorry, I was on mute there. Thank you so much, Aidan. That was amazing. Well done. That's a really, really good project. So much hard work. I kind of felt that you've done so many iterations. You went through so many iterations with your feedback. The way that you presented, it just felt that you got a lot of you got a lot of feedback. And also, I also thought that the quotes that you had on your screen when you presented were very powerful. I think that's something that you could also, like, working in UX and presenting your findings. That's very important. And one question that I had for you, and also like your presentation was amazing and everything. One question I had for you was in terms of the icons there. Did you get any feedback? Did users understand all the icons that you had on your left-hand side?
Yes, for the most part. The one that was there was a general confusion around, and actually that's a fair point. I do need to look at that as a solution, is the categories icon. It's something that I've, again, looking at competitor analysis, I've seen in a number of places. And once you understand what it's trying to tell you with the triangle, the circle and square, it's categories. But some people have said it's games. Some people have said it's, they're not sure what it is until they click on it. But it is, I went with it for the moment because it did seem to be an industry standard choice, but I can understand its confusion.
Yeah. I mean, it's also here on Google Meet. You kind of have it. I also don't know what it does. Yeah, it kind of pulls up the additional menu. But no, all in all, great work. Like, very, very good project, and I'm really looking forward to see all your entire case study.
Thank you.
Rob, do you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. Hi, Aidan. That was really good.
Thank you.
I think I had called out in a previous presentation, I think your project has always been very sensitive to the business goals and constraints. I think you've always kind of woven that through very well, and you did it again in the design consideration of showing the Amazon, original content first and accepting that as a trade-off for deeper experiences down the line. I think that's something that probably isn't talked about a lot in UX. There are times when the business needs are at odds with the user needs, and you just have to make a trade. And I thought that was a pretty good one. I think it would be interesting to see, you mentioned live sport and stuff at the end. It'd be interesting to see if you treat that as like, okay, that's Amazon's zone to put whatever they want to promote. How do they do live sport there? You had one big image, but like, what if they want two? It just might be an interesting kind of a thing of, if this were real world stuff, you'd probably need a few different content slot options there, which might just be interesting to develop out. I think the exploration of flows at the start sorry, that was before that, but the exploration of flows at the start and what was common between them and things like that, and just breaking it into its simplest terms, that was really good. And just to echo that, it stuck out to me as well a bit just about those icons. I think there probably needs to be a state where they have labels and then maybe they minimize to icons just so that the user can understand the first time what it is, what each one is. And
I actually have that panel built. I just didn't get it integrated into the prototype yet.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's, and like, I think it is an improvement. It's just, I'd say the next version of that, could use that kind of labeling. And lastly, I think just in terms of testing on a smart TV, I think that would reveal some, one thing I was thinking about, and maybe it isn't an issue, but if your UI is built on scrolling from left to right and your navigation is on the left, I know in theory I can go up a rail and then go left to select the menu, but I could end up having to go, like, if I've gone 10 movies deep on a rail, I might have to click back. And on those squidgy remote buttons, that's just going to take ages. So that might be an interesting kind of UX problem in and of itself as well, of where's the best place to put the nav, where users can reach it within a couple of taps. But I think that's kind of future state. I think you've done a really good job. I think you've set really good boundaries on it and kept a pretty lean scope and a realistic scope. So really well done.
Thank you so much.
Amazing. Thanks, Rob. Ricardo, do you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. I think Rob really did sum up what I was thinking too. It was a very ambitious project, Aidan, and you really did a good job of summarizing it and bringing it back into scope. And I agree with some of the points that Rob brought up as well regarding the user experience. I would say two things, if you decide to continue working with it, would be to take a look at your keyboard interface that when you were typing in for the movie, because that's always one of those things that I think everyone hates in these things. So anything you could come up with is probably going to be welcomed. Maybe there's nothing, but it's just a wonderful idea to someone reinvented that. And the second would be, depending on how far you would go with it, you may also want to consider integrating Alexa, because that would be another level to take it to. And it just might be an interesting showy point to say, if I bring Alexa in, this is how I would do it and how I would integrate it in. But I think it was really well done. Just think you did a great job in taking something as challenging as this and really breaking it into its components and studying and understanding how to solve for it. It shows you know how to take something very complex and really break it into the pieces that are consumable. And it's an accomplishment.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And that's thanks to all of the feedback from yourselves throughout the length of the course, and to Anna for all her help and support.
Thank you so much, Aidan. Anna, is there something that you want to add here?
Yeah, sure. Obviously, I'm kind of way too involved and kind of nervous, probably even more than Aidan. But I'm really kind of happy how this project turned into such a great presentation. I remember us kind of during the first session talking about overall confusion and kind of all the kind of huge list of problems of Amazon Prime, and how you kind of managed, really enjoyed to watch how you managed to narrow this down, to tackle these small issues, and kind of really how you grew your skills in everything from building the flow to doing the prototype during these 3 months. That's incredibly impressive. Great job, Aidan.
Thank you.
Good.
Thanks so much.
Well done, both of you. Great project, and I can see a great collaboration between both of you. So that's really nice. That's great. Aidan, do you have any questions for us or anything else that you would like to add?
I don't, thank you.
No.
I'm good.
You're free now. Amazing, thank you. So Patricia, are you okay to present?
Yes, I am.
Perfect.
So let's go.
Perfect. Yeah, I can start whenever you're ready.
Do you guys remember last time you guys went to a doctor? When you guys were sick or something? I think you may like feel like, oh my gosh, I'm sick and I need to treat that, or I hope it's not that worse. So your last concern should be this website. Your last concern should be like how I'm going to make book my appointment. Maybe because you already have a GP and you already have him in the call line, but if you are someone that doesn't have a GP and you need to make an appointment, you don't want to have this kind of situation happening. My project is about Centric Health. Centric Health, it's a clinic, it's a private healthcare provider here in Ireland, but also in other places. It's huge. It's like it's over 40 locations, provide a lot of services. And how it works. So we have the Center Clinic Health Center. It has a lot of branches, a lot of locations, and a lot of services. Some clinics may have like service 1, service 2, but this is really important that you guys stick with this information. They have branches and they have services information that they need to present to people that are looking for their services, because you want to see if your GP can provide, for example, some kind of services. So this is Centric Health. And when I first reached their website, I was thinking like, okay, look at this page. We have like some usability inconsistencies. I have like a button that's green, that's gray, and should be gray because usability say that this may look disabled. So my goal was my first assumption is like this impacts scheduling, and this I could make like enhance this web page. So my first assumptions were people will not find a search bar, people will not find this button clickable, people will not read this information because look, it's a lot, right? And people will not reach this part and they will not click. So yeah, I was not very optimistic about this website, but for that, because I didn't want to be biased, I was go through the process and I choose like some tools that were like for me to analyze a lot of data, like quantitative data in this process of discover. And during define, develop, and deliver, I use a lot of qualitative data for me to understand a little bit more about this area, this sector that I didn't understand much because I'm not from here. So this was my process. I use like quantitative data here, and then a lot of qualitative research tools for that. Okay, so but what is my problem, right? What I'm looking for? So I noticed that the service page contain information about doctor, clinic locations, and the booking button, but I think that enhancing the page navigation and clarity, users can easily more find clinic information schedule their appointments. So because that's what I was talking about in the first moment, people when they are trying to reach their GP, their doctor, maybe they're not feeling sick, but they want to see a doctor to check, or they're feeling really sick but it's not an emergency, or they're really sick, it's an emergency and they go straight to the hospital. So we were working with those kind of cases here. So, but what happens, right? So what is the flow? What is the booking flow? People reach the homepage and they have like 8 paths to go to the finding service. They may click in finding service and go through a page that's like really, really big, and then click to the service page, and then go to the clinic. And if the clinic has a service page, they go to this page, and then again can reach the booking page. But this is another story that we're not going to tell here. But this is the process that I'm telling you about in the Centric Health, and this is the problem. So they have 6 paths to the service page, and they have 6 types of service, 4 types of service page. It's a lot, right? It's a lot to think like, oh my gosh, people just wanted to book, just want to have an appointment. So after all of this analysis, and a lot of research, usability tests, I find like I brought here 2 key research results. There were like one that was like, okay, I was right in this point that people have difficulties booking online through the website, and they did not finish tasks. They did not. They were saying that they gave up, like, oh, I'm just going to direct to the contact information. And people also, but were saying like, I'm getting lost, and they were not satisfied. But I was wrong too, and this is something that's really nice. I think it's really good when this happened, because people find the gray button clickable, because users it's really nice to see their behavior. So they say that like, oh, it looks like a button, so I'm gonna click. This is just some key findings, like, but the most important thing is all participants get lost in the usability test. One of them say like, I'm not allowed to have a sore throat. Can you imagine you say something like that? Like, I'm not allowed because I'm not finding the service, so I cannot have like, and I cannot get treated. So at this point, I would give up and call. Like, I would not go through the website. This was another quote of one of the interviews. And getting the data from another website that analyze the Centric website, they have like average like 2 minutes, but the visualization page, they have like 3 pages, which means that probably they don't convert leads through the booking page in their website. And this is a is the path that they went, like people starting to make an appointment, go to the home, and then they get lost in this mess because they have like this situation. For remember when I say that each branch had services, so Central Health has services page for itself, but each branch has its own service page. For example, if all of the branches had like acne, they would have like 11 acne pages in their website. So it's a lot, not just for the user, but yeah, for everyone that's looking to this website. So after getting all this information from the users, from the analysis, this is a really clear case that is something that goes in a structure and the skeleton of the website. It's something that it's not just visual, it affects visual. Actually, this is something that was really good in the research. Visual was get like the appearance of the website was really good, but they couldn't finish the test. So this is not good for the website itself. So my goal design the solution was to minimize avenues, consistent across all the pages, and turn this into this. So how could I do that, right? I just looked to the web page, service page, and I analyzed all of the pages that of the flow to see which one would have more impact. And I analyze all the usability inconsistencies and select the sector that would be transform this standard flow that would be like going through like all of those pages, choose a page that it's not to a page that it could be the page that would be the solution. So I find 2 solutions and I try it out with the users. This was the one that I find that we find more attractive to the users. And this was the new flow with the new page. So people went through the home, find a service, click here in the acne clinic, and they went in straight to the booking page. This just not just allowed fewer 2 pages on the scroll, but also fix the usability inconsistency and fix the page without button and not found pages also. So people say that was much easier, and with that I wouldn't need to call anymore. This was a project that it was really challenging for me because it was something that you will not see like much changes in the interface, but in the infrastructure. People finding the way to the website is something that, in this case, matter more than our how it looks like the website, because they already have something that's good, but it doesn't work. So the final result is that is this web page, and it's something that I'm really proud to say that is not a mess anymore. So I have here like some solutions, people what they need to do it to fix the solution, and what they must have, should have, and could have in the next steps to fix the flow. And that's it. I would like to say thank you so much. I hope you guys understood. And that's it. Thank you.
That was great, Patricia. We all felt with you there. Well done. So much hard work you put into this. And I'm really sorry Louisa is not here with us, but she's due to have her baby soon. So yeah, fingers crossed all goes well on her side and she's not in a lot of pain. But I'm going to say it first, like it is amazing how much work you've put into this project. Like also like putting all your kind of usability findings and everything on the presentation, but also in the same time allowing yourself to be wrong and to be corrected by users when you tested it. You also put a lot of, like, you know, Rebecca will know there as well, like in VHI we also have a similar problem, like, you know, putting different scenarios because people are not always accessing that website, like being like in a perfect scenario on their sofa and healthy. So like you need to really like accommodate for every single situation on the website. You need to be very like sensitive with the information also that you provide on the website. So like I think you looked into everything. There's only a few points that I would like to point out for you when you'll be writing your case study, and before you submit it, try to kind of try to reinforce that link between your first problem that you run into your website, and which is also like a part of business problem as well, to your final solution. Because I don't know, maybe it's in the background, maybe like, you know, you when you were presenting, maybe I didn't get that part, but like for me there was something missing in between, and I kind of felt that, you know, your first problem and your final solution was somewhat a little bit disconnected. So just try to reinforce that in your case study, because I do feel that you know that you've done a proper research and everything. You just need to make it visible for everyone. But yeah, all in all, well done, great work, and an amazing project. And I know with your work and everything with shifts, like it was very difficult, but you made it, and yeah, you did a great job. Rebecca, sorry, do you want to go next?
Yeah, well done, Patricia. I really enjoyed your presentation and I thought you did an excellent job, and it was amazing to see how complex the website was and the problem that you were looking at trying to solve in the time frame of the project. I was really impressed. And yeah, as Valentina said, we're working through a similar problem at the moment in VHI with, like, you know, the different page types, and they're not really being a criteria for a service page versus something else. And yeah, I thought it was a really complex challenge to have taken on. So well done there. Some of the things that I really loved, I loved that you outlined your assumptions before you engaged in your user research, and you almost had these little like hypotheses that you wanted to prove or disprove, which I thought was great. And that you were able to identify usability issues yourself first. So it was kind of like nearly heuristic analysis when you looked at the button almost being disabled. That's like visibility of system status. So you picked up on those, you know, little usability issues before you engaged in any research yourself. And although your users found the button to be clickable, I did see that you made it a bit more interactive looking in your design. So yeah, just well done on that. And yeah, as Val said, I like that you considered the different contexts that people, you know, come to the site. So you're not always going to have someone who's super healthy. You might have someone who's feeling, you know, particularly unwell, and you're going to design differently for that. And I really liked when you said about the quote that you had. I thought it was really powerful. It was, I'd give up and I'd just call. You know, they were totally frustrated. And I think when you communicate something like that to a stakeholder, it's their worst nightmare, because they often want to promote self-serve and digital, which is the purpose of this website, from what I understood, you know, being able to book, that's a core job to be done. And I like that you tied it back to the impact. So the impact of them not being able to complete the core job to be done, it has a negative impact on the business, you know. So maybe it's decreased healthcare interactions or something that's potentially like a really important KPI for the business. So well done on that. And let me see. Yes, I loved that you included the figure from Elements of the User Experience, the Jesse Grant book. That's a brilliant book. I actually have the hard copy. Yeah, I love that. And yeah, you could really see at the end how you streamlined the booking process. So you went from the mess that it was, and you know, it was even difficult to follow the booking process when you were originally showing the as is. And then by the end, you had a really streamlined, great booking process. So yeah, I was really impressed. And well done.
Very good. Thank you so much, Rebecca. That was a really thorough feedback. Thank you so much. Peter, do you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. Patricia, I hadn't seen this before. Apologies for missing it at presentations in the past. Really challenging project you took on, and I like the way you presented it. There's a nice story, and I love the quotes that connected us back to real users. I think it was that one, you know, am I not allowed to have a sore throat? It's those kind of things which, when you're presenting back to clients and stakeholders, really makes them open up and listen to what you have to say, you know, because this is them speaking real words, or their users speaking real words. Like Rebecca said, the assumptions part was really good at the start. It just and you connected them really well to the UI. So right from the off, I knew what the problems were, or what you assumed the problems were, and I was looking forward to you then explaining how you validated them as well. And like Rebecca, I mean, I think the button was interesting, even though your users said it was okay. You know, how does it fit within a system of other buttons? So I think you called it out correctly. The layers of the UX design was really interesting, and just reminding us all that it's not just the visual stuff. You have to dig deeper. You have to think about it in different levels, different layers, and from, you know, it's not just making a button a different color or whatever. One of the things I thought you kind of didn't do as well as you could, and it's something I do when I'm presenting, is I spend too much time on the problem, and maybe I don't realize that I've communicated the problem, and then I try and do it again. So I thought I heard the same problem 2 or 3 times, when maybe, you know, you explained it and then move on. We get it, but it's something I tend to do as well, just to make sure everyone understands what I'm saying. So just think about it the next time. It's a difficult one, but you know, yeah, really good. Well done.
Very good. Thank you so much, Peter. Oh, Patricia, you're on mute. Sorry.
I just say thank you. Thank you so much.
That's great. Thank you so much. Anyone else wants to has any questions for Patricia on any feedback? No, we're good. Well done, Patricia. One more time. That was a great project, and really looking forward to see your case study. Well done, and keep us posted on Louisa as well. Amazing. Debbie, are you ready?
I hope so. I'll share my screen now. Can you see?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay, hi everyone. So my project was about improving the access to mental health resources on the HSC website. And my mentor was Rebecca. And I just want to say thank you, because she really carried me through this mentorship, and I don't know where I'd be without her. So thanks, Rebecca. So project brief. So the HSC is Ireland's main site for health information. People visit the HSC website for information regarding services, regarding organizations, and just to learn about mental health issues and things like that. So right now, people are visiting the website for, when they're visiting the website for mental health resources, it's hard to navigate, and people feel like language is too formal, and just a lot of content. So I used the double diamond process for this case study, going from discover, define, develop, and deliver. So the first problem I found was with the navigation. So users were finding it difficult to navigate the HSC website. So they required like multiple clicks just to find information regarding anxiety, or even just to find therapy options. Like someone said here, it's a never-ending button cycle. You press a button and it takes you somewhere else, and then it takes a button and it takes you back. So the information architecture was just completely all over the place when it came to the HSC website as a whole, and also the mental health section as well. And then the second problem was the readability and the scannability. So even just look at this page, are you overwhelmed? Yeah, because that's how the HSC mental health section makes you feel. So information is presented in large blocks of text with minimal use of headings, and people find it hard to like find what they need, and just like it's just a mess, you know. People think I'm already stressed, I hate the text so much, I'll just give up, it's too much words. And then third problem was the design and visual. So people felt like, because especially with being in the mental health section, people felt like there was no, you know, empathy, and there was no like push to you know what to do next when they're on the website. And you know, they felt that the landing page was very cold. They felt like it was a hospital, you know, when they were on the website. So that led me to have a problem statement, which was, you know, mental health resources. People were finding it difficult to understand and find them, and it led to frustration and confusion, and this prevents users from accessing support, which negatively impacts their mental health experiences and reduces their overall goal of the HSE website, which is to promote, prevent, and intervene early in mental health issues. So I started, before I went into my low fidelity prototypes, I started off with a benchmark tree testing. So I used the tree testing to access like the discoverability of the information of the website. So the task I gave people was, if you're seeking mental health resources, seeking mental health conditions like depression or anxiety, and 60% of participants failed to locate the correct information. And then let's say another task I gave was looking for a therapist, and again, 60% also failed to find that information. Actually, 70%. That's a error. And these were the two major things that people came to the HSE website to do, was to like find resources and also find a therapist. So these were the two important tasks that people were failing to do. And then after that, I did an open card sort. So I gave users cards that represented the different pages on the current website and asked them to group it. And what I found from this was, you know, this was like it shows how frequently each part was grouped by participants, and things like self-care, professional support were like the things that were most grouped. Crisis help were also most grouped, and then plans and education resources were at the bottom. But that kind of helped aid me in knowing where to put my content on the page. The self-care and professional support were at the top, and like the plans, education resources were at the bottom. And all doing that helped me to reform my sitemap, just to get a better visual understanding of the HSE structure that I created due to the tree testing. So I put like everything in resources, like the mental health resources, learning resources, and things like addiction support, improvement, improved support, because that's what people were grouping as a result of the card sort. And things like the professional support, I just put, you know, therapies under professional support, because before therapy was under organizations, and it was just very hard to find a therapist on the HSE website. And this was my refined site map that I created from there. So then, using the results from that, I did another tree testing, and using the sitemap that I just showed. And the key findings, I find there's an increase in success rates, there's an increase in directness of completing tasks, and there's a decrease in the range and times taken. So you can see here from the first test and the second test, there was a 40% increase in how many people were able to complete the task successfully. And then in terms of directness and just going straight to the task, there was 40% increase. And this is for looking for therapy. Now onto the lo-fi prototyping. So this helped guide me in my low fidelity prototype. So like I said, I structured it according to the results of the tree testing and the card sort. So things like the self-care and the conditions were I put at the top. I put the search bar in the center, because one of the results I got from the qualitative study was people would prefer to just search for their mental health condition rather than try and find it in the website. So that makes the information a bit more accessible. I made sure I tried to use empathetic language, because again, it is a mental health website, and the whole goal of it is to be more empathetic with users. And then again, making the CTA more clear and more legible, because again, people felt like they could not, one of the problems people didn't know where to go, or couldn't find information properly. And I also put like a little testimonial so people can feel connected, because again, people felt like there was no empathy, there was no lack of personal feel to the website. And I guess this helps users feel like they're not alone, they're not the only one that's going through something, etc. So if you were to click anxiety, it would bring you to this page here. So again, one of the problems I faced was the scannability and readability of the text. So my aim was to make it more legible and make it easier for users to like locate the information. I included like quotes again, like I said, learning language. And just for this part here, one of the problems with people faced was there was too much information presented all at once. So I decided to put like drop down menus so people can decide if they want to look at that information rather than present it all at once for them. So it kind of is like progressive disclosure, so people can have that autonomy to choose if they want to see the information. And another problem, like I said, people didn't know where to go. So this CTA kind of guides them after reading all the information about anxiety. It kind of guides them into finding professional support like therapy and different things. So if you were to click professional support, it will bring you to the professional support system. Part here. So here you can find a GP, explore therapy, join support groups, everything that has to do with like professional support. I put them into this section here and added photos just so it can bring a personal feel to the website as well. And then if you were to click explore therapy counseling options, it'll bring you to the directory. And one thing I want to mention is I made sure I put it here. So these like clickable links to just, if you click it, it takes you straight to the next point. So again, people are not presented too much information. They can just skip all the information that they don't need to have. So yeah, and another thing I learned while I was doing this was the HC actually doesn't provide therapists, but they provide organizations that provide therapy. And I tried to make sure that this was presented in a clear and logical way. And when I tested this for users, people felt like this was still too much information here. People felt like it still was a bit disorganized. Some people were saying there's still a bit too much text and, there's still a lot of stuff going on. So with that information, it then helps me guide my actual prototype. So with this, here's the main CTAs here: anxiety, depression. I added a nice photo here so people can feel more connected to the website. There's a search bar, and then here's the content that I mentioned earlier that was to do with the card sort. And then the colors, I made sure I was sticking in line with the HSC visual guidelines that they have. And yeah, so if I was looking for information about anxiety, I'd click here, go to it's anxiety. And this is the information about anxiety. You can scroll through. I made sure that there was space between the text and everything. And if they want professional support, they go here. And then this brings us to the professional support center. And then in here, you can also go back to mental health, and you can access the professional support through here as well. So it's important to access in different places. And then if you click the therapist directory, this is where you can find the information to do a therapy. And then you can go here and, scan. And if you want more information, it is there. Rather than it being presented all at once, you can choose whether you want to find the contact information. And then again, people who didn't know how to start therapy or where to go with therapy, these were frequently asked questions, and they can choose here what types of therapy they have, how I know what therapies work for me, and kind of guides them through the process of finding therapists. And rather than just giving them all the information at once, it's structured in a nice, clear, and organizational way. So yeah, that's what I learned from this. Is I can find my page. So what I learned, I learned that it's very important to align my design with the user expectations and with the feedback I've gotten, which is standard. But what I think I did differently would be I'd spend more time on like the skeleton of the website rather than like the UI. I felt like I spent a lot of time on my low fidelity prototypes. I'd work on my presentation skills because, as you can see, I'm there's a lot, and I'm over time. And even with time management, I wish I spent more time on my high fidelity prototype, but I spent more time on my low fidelity prototype and didn't have time to go into hi-fi. But yeah, thank you. That's everything.
That was great. Debbie, what are you saying? Your presentation skills are amazing.
It's just the timing of everything, and I felt like I was rushing.
No, everything turned out great. So I'm going to let the guys speak. So Rob, do you want to go first?
Sure. Yeah. Hey, Debbie. Yeah, I'll start at the end, which is, I think that's probably a little self-critical about the presentation. I think you told the story of that project very well. And like I got there was no surprises in there along the way. And also, I mean, you were what, like 11 minutes or something. Like doing any of you presenting a project this size in 10 minutes is really challenging, and you're going to have to leave stuff out. So I think I wouldn't agree with your own assessment presentation. I think it was really good. One of the things I really liked in it, as in terms of like wrote it down as something I'm going to steal and use in my job in terms of presentations, is showing the difference in time with the card sort. You showed, okay, I've structured information this way, and here's where it's at. And now I've structured it this way, and here's the actual just cold hard improvement. I've never thought to do that before, and that was before you'd even shown us like any design. And I just thought it set the lo-fi and the hi-fi on such a strong footing. I really think that was excellent. You managed to kind of quantify how good your research was before you even put pen to paper on a design front. It just, that really stood out to me. I think, yeah. Sorry, I like that you got into the weeds to kind of figure out the structure. That kind of mapping is so tedious. I think it was in Miro or something, but I often find that's really where the solutions come from. Unfortunately, it's that kind of dragging stuff around to figure out where everything is. It's that kind of stage of tidying your house where everything's on the floor and you're like, why did I start this? Why did I open all these cupboards? But actually it does lead to a better end product. And then I thought the final design was really good. The only thing I'd suggest in terms of like refining it in future, refining how you approach design, is you added a lot of space, which is great, and you justified that. But I think in one or two areas, you might have lost a bit of kind of almost gestalt sort of grouping of things. Like there were a couple of, like there was groups of CTAs that had sort of slightly different spacing between them. And I think you could probably keep that space you added, but also neaten up the design by just making sure the things that are related are all kind of grouped and have even consistent spacing between them. That's such a small point. That's such a sort of a nitpicky bit of design feedback, but I mean, that speaks to the strength of the project. I just think it's something that I really struggled with for ages, and it just takes practice just to get that kind of spacing right. But yeah, really excellent project, really well done. I think it was challenging, had a lot of constraints, and you worked around them very elegantly and presented it very well. So well done.
Thank you. Very good. Thank you so much, Rob. Dave, do you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. Hi, Debbie.
Hi.
Well done. That was really good. I really enjoyed it. I thought your presentation was brilliant. Don't worry about your presentations, because I thought they were excellent. As Rob said, I mean, you told a very clear story. I thought the research that you'd done was very good. Particularly at the start, you started off with a tree test, and then you did card sorting, and I was like, okay, well, that's unusual. Normally I go card sorting, tree test, and then I thought, okay, well she's card sorted after the tree testing. I hope she tree tests again, and you did. So I was really happy with that. Well done. I really liked that you have some wireframes in there, like lo-fi. The first bit of lo-fi we've seen all evening. I felt like we've is it the first? I think it is. Yeah. So, that was really good to see. I like the way you took into account the visual guidelines from the HSE when you went into hi-fi. That was really well considered. And one bit of criticism I would say is there was a lack of mobile interface designs or wireframes, and my assumption would be that most people will be on their phones, maybe when they're looking at the HSE website. So just one thing to keep in mind. But well done. It was really, really good. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
maybe
the reason why I did website, because I haven't done ever like a website case study. So I was like, okay, let me challenge myself. But I could have done website and phone as well. So I get you.
Yeah.
maybe we can put that in your next steps. My next
Yeah.
step, or if I had $1 million, I would design for mobile as well. Thank you so much, Dave.
Thank you.
Sorry, Dave, did I interrupt you? Is that all?
Yeah, that's me. Yeah.
Perfect. Ricardo, do you want to go next?
Sure. Debbie, this is the second time now that I've seen the things you've been doing, and your intellect always comes through in your work. You have a very good mind, and it's really clear. So there should not be any self-doubt that should enter, because it's remarkable the way you consider things. I think that it's also really telling to see a site as you redesigned it to help and support people that are going through what they're going through. And it's so sad to know that they are facing what they're facing. And it's so great that you took that on and showed where you could go with it. I think also that the combination of you and Rebecca is kind of a bit unbeatable, so it's almost unfair. So, I mean, because we had two rock stars, I think, together. I would only say that if you, as you start to present something like that, perhaps it's really just about like your initial problem slides where you were showing that sort of wall of issues with the post-its is very powerful. And if there were more sort of just opportunities to just sort of hit some of those problems out with some larger numbers or something, because there is it's very deep what you've just told us, and it probably needs to be. But for people like me who are kind of lightheaded, I'd love to also get some of the facts that I could kind of skim as well. So I think that a combination of the two would be fabulous. But like I said, you could just see how sharp your mind is. It's really well done and great work.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Well, that's great, Ricardo. Thank you so much. Rebecca?
I won't spend too long, just to say well done, Debbie. You're absolutely amazing, and I loved how you approached everything, and you were so committed, and I just thought I was really impressed by you and all the different research methods that you did. Like, my God, in the discovery, you had your heuristic analysis, competitive analysis, you did usability testing with semi-structured interviews, then you did card sorting, then you did tree testing. you covered them all. So, and it really shows. I thought you were just so great, and you put some amount of work into it, and you could really feel your passion for this subject, and I thought you handled it with such sensitivity. And you could tell by, how comfortable the people that were speaking to you, by the quotes and stuff that they gave. I thought you handled it with great compassion and empathy. So go nursing.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I really liked when you were talking about your lo-fi, your designs. Well, first, I love that you did your lo-fi designs and you talked about them. You didn't just jump into your hi-fi, but I thought you were great for how you justified your design decisions, and you tied back each thing that you spoke about to your discovery research and the problems that you identified. Like, you were talking about your the information overload that people felt. They're anxious, they're coming onto the site, they're looking for mental health resources, and then they're met with this blocks of text, and like they're totally overwhelmed. It exacerbates a bad situation. And then you talked about how you kind of overcame that with the progressive disclosure, and you did that really nicely in places, which I thought was lovely. And yeah, don't bash your presentation skills at all. I was really impressed. I followed, well, I'm close to it, so maybe I'm biased, but I followed everything you were saying, and I thought you were excellent. So yeah, I'll stop talking now. But yeah, well done, and I loved working with you.
Love working with you too. Thanks so much.
Oh, sharing love, girls. That's great. No, it's so nice to see everyone tonight and everyone's presentation. And sorry, it's difficult to say anything without echoing what the guys mentioned before. Debbie, great project. I loved how you it's actually one of the kind of most complex projects that we had as a part of UX3, like considering all the kind of different activities that you did as a part of your research stage. Like that's very you will have one very powerful case study that you will use well when you'll be applying for your UX research jobs. I'm sure about that. Also, combining all the work that you've done in your research stage, but also combining the complexity of the projects, considering the audience that you have, which is like a very sensitive audience and everything. So I think this is really something that when we spoke about your goals and your expectations for the mentorship program, what do you want to learn, where you want to be, you did everything with this case study. So well done. I'm super proud of all the work that everyone has done tonight. And yeah, it's so good to see everyone working so well together. Yeah. Oh my God. We're already done.
Halfway there.
Well done, guys. It's very unusual that everyone made the call tonight, all mentors and mentees, almost all mentors, but all mentees for sure. So tomorrow we have Davin, Martina, Neve, and Tofu presenting. So if you guys will be missing any of the presentations tomorrow, then just make sure you watch it before you vote. And I'll see you all on Friday. Just make sure that you also, RVSP, send me a DM or just react with an emoji if you're coming on Friday, so I know the numbers. And yeah, really looking forward to it, guys. Well done.
Well done, everyone.
Okay. Take
Well
care.
done, everybody.
Great. See you tomorrow.
See you
Bye.
tomorrow, guys.
All right.
Bye.
See you.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Eric.